Today is April 27th, 2017. I'm going to do a quick garden review. We've just had about 24 hours of rain, but today the sun is shining, and I think tonight we're supposed to get rain again. We'll take a quick look at the front flower bed preparations and other things. So I went ahead and bricked around my flower bed preparations. I did plant one tomato, which is doing pretty good since it got down to in the 40s, the low 40s. And look here. I didn't plant well, maybe last year, kind of, sort of, but these are marigolds popping up. So when I put in these bricks, I knocked out a whole bunch, and I tried to save as many as I could. Some of them made it. I'm breaking up this area, and I may have thrown a few flower seeds in there yesterday in the middle of rain. The garlic. Now I also planted this area, a lot of this area yesterday. You can see I had some mustard from inside that I went ahead and planted out, and we'll see how that does. I planted a squash and different, I think I had a little bit of cabbage and some other things. I think maybe we'll see what pops up there. Anyway, a few things. My nasturtium has made it through the storm, and I went ahead and planted some watermelon by these little sticks in here. So this is half planted, this little bed. The other part isn't really planted. Now I did come through here and plant cantaloupe and cucumbers in between these tomatoes, but look, this tomato looks like it may not make it, and this tomato looked like it's out for the count, and that one, but this one's making it. This is a Jet Star tomato. It seems to be making. This is another Jet Star. So you can see, I don't know, a third to half of my, well, probably more like a third of my tomato plants are going to have to be replaced, but that's okay. I've got that many. This nasturtium seems to be making it. Now look at this. Now this is amazing, these potatoes. That's quite a bit of growth in the last week. And this bed, I still only have one plant seems to be showing up, which is a little bit sad. I was hoping for a lot more from this bed. Now this actually was from last year, and it came back up. And I usually don't like to plant tomatoes in a bucket, but I wanted to get this one into the ground. So that's what that is. Now I do have, you can see these tomatoes here, and I've got to, triple this still. And these are the marigolds. You can see one of the small ones. These other ones looks like they're out for the count. So that was, and look at those potatoes in these buckets. These potatoes, man, they are really, that really looks great. And my peas, they're struggling through. In fact, peas on the whole like cold weather. Now, I want to show you this. This is amazing. Well, you see all these leeks? Now this cooler, this red one, has no holes in the bottom. So water, unless you pour out the water, it just stays here. And look at this. Is that? It's a tree. And the oregano, and I planted some lettuce in here yesterday, And like that oregano is just taking over. But I do have a couple of leeks from last year. And then these are all new leeks in here. So I'll have to thin these out and plant them other places when they get bigger, I think. You can see my chocolate mint is making it. Now, I haven't covered the path in here, but you can see some sunflowers starting to pop up. They'll take over, or I'll have to do something about that. But look, the beans, those, they don't look too bad. Now, I wanted to show you this. Can you see that mustard plant there? I've already taken about 6 of these large leaves, and it's very nice. This is from last fall. It just came back up on its own. And you can see a couple of sunflowers, one tomato popping up on their own. So that's interesting. And you can see that tomato over there making it. Now, all through here yesterday, I came through and put in some cucumber seeds and some cantaloupe seeds between each one of these tomato cages. So that should be pretty good. Up these branches. And you can see the mustard. Yeah, I planted a lot of mustard. The mustard's taking off, and I think this is some kale. I think that's kale. It's either kale or cabbage. So that's kind of it. You can see that a lot of these tomatoes are struggling and may need to get replaced. But look at this. Look at that. Look how that's come up. So these are either bush beans or bush peas. And I'm a little, it says Royal Burgundy bush beans. So these are bush beans, and of course there at the end you can see the peas that I planted. Okay, that's getting pretty good, and see those peas coming up. Now I want to see the peas come all the way up to the top. We'll see how they grow. And in all of my containers yesterday, well, not all of them, but these here, I planted different things. I planted a lot of lettuces and some kale, and I think that's it. I had a number of lettuces, and look at this. This is, you see all that green? That's mustard. Now that's pretty thick in there, and we'll see how that goes. I planted some watermelon here at the ends. We'll see if they come up. The idea is that they should go up the trellis. And of course my onions. And wow, I'm going to have a lot of onion seeds. So you can see they're all focused on making seeds. And then my garlic. So again, in a number of these I've planted different lettuces and kale. So we'll see how that goes, and I guess I should open this door. The sun, it's about, outside it's about, you know, maybe 50 by now, but inside, since I've had this shut up, it's around 64 down there though. So from where the sun's shining to the hidden thermometer, there's a 20 degree difference. But that's what happens when the sun shines on you. And this one, yeah, agrees with that other, about 65, 64. So I have more tomatoes. And look at these. These are just some seeds I saved from a Del Monte large tomato. So, and that's a flower that needs to get planted out. So I also have some tomatoes in the house since I took them in from outside. Here's some flowers that need to be transplanted. You can see That basil didn't make it, but these flowers seem to be making it. When they get bigger, I'll plant them out by the front garden. Okay, of course, some more tomatoes. These are beefsteak here. And what are these? That's a flower. I think it's a purple flower when it comes up. There's aroma. Okay, well, that's kind of what's happening here in the greenhouse. It's been it's cold. It's been cold. In fact, down in I think Stoutland, Missouri, where one of my cousins lives, they had snow on the ground, I think on either Monday or Tuesday. We got rain here, but the temperature did drop, and I know we had a big swing because it was getting kind of warm out. So in fact, I've got the sun in my eyes. Yeah, that's better. So I'm going to stop now, and then I'm going to go and show you the progress in the back garden. So here we are in the back garden. Now, this bed has bush peas and bush beans, and they're both coming up very strong. You see the peas? And then you see the beans. Now the grass needs to get mowed. By the time it dries out, it's going to be really quite a project. Now this bed is full of bush beans. I think there's 2 types in here. And this bed this is just all from last year. And the oregano, and I think this is something good. You guys, I think it's celery, but I don't really remember planting. Now this one, I dug this bed out, put cardboard down, and then filled it back in and planted onions. As you can see, it's not doing too well. We'll give it some time. But if that's celery, it looks pretty good. So I won't want to lose it. Now here's another onion bed. It's not actually looking so good. I mean, a lot of these onions had already started before I planted them. But in a couple of weeks we may see what it really looks like. Now this bed, I have a few onions around the edge, and then I planted radishes, and then I think 4 different types of squash in the middle. And only 2 of the squashes, you see that stick? Nothing's there, but this one, there's squash. And then this one's blank, but this one has squash. So I'm kind of glad that I planted different types of squash, because it looks like only half of them came up. I've been working on my leaf pile, and I should go and cover some of the things I planted. And this actually is from last year, and that one celery that's looking so poor, I transplanted to this spot, and it didn't like the transplant, it looks like. Okay, so this bed needs to be dug out and redone, and so does that bed. So there's 3 beds back here, really 4. There was a bed right there, and I don't know what I'm going to do with that. But that's asparagus. You see, this is the 2nd year on the asparagus, and the 3rd year is when it's supposed to be strong. But this bed I overwhelmed with a pile of leaves, so I'm not sure how it's going to respond. I really need to plant asparagus somewhere else also. Okay, that's kind of the back garden. I'm very pleased with a couple of things. And oh, look at this. I am getting some chocolate mint showing up in my herb wheelbarrow. So that's very exciting. In fact, here, it's kind of heavy. Let me pull it back into the sunlight a little bit more. There. encourage that chocolate mint to go. And like I say, I'm very pleased with the progress of the peas and the beans. Well, love you guys. I hope you guys are having a great spring, and we'll see how everything progresses. Still tons to do in the yard and in the garden, and we'll see how that all. But I have noticed that if you don't plant any seeds, you're not going to get any crops. So get out there and plant something. And though half of the seeds don't work out, the other half do. Okay, love you guys. Bye-bye.